All right, so today we're going deep into a pretty heavy but very important topic.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
We're diving into A Sunday at the Pool in Kigali
Ooh, that's a good one.
by Gil Courtemanche.
Powerful book.
Have you read this one recently?
I have actually just finished it again for this deep dive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're really fresh on all the details.
I am ready.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So for our listeners who haven't had a chance yet to check out this book, it takes place in Rwanda in the early 1990s, right before the genocide.
Right at the edge, yeah.
And it's historical fiction, but it's so intertwined with the very real events that were happening at the time.
Absolutely. And I think what Courtemanche does so brilliantly is he doesn't just give us the historical facts, which are horrific in themselves,
Right.
but he brings it to life through these really personal stories,
Yeah.
and especially the love story between Bernard.
Yes, Bernard, our main character.
Yeah, a Canadian journalist,
Right.
and Gentile, this young Tutsi woman. And their relationship is just so tender and so full of life. And it unfolds against this backdrop of, just unimaginable brutality.
Right, and you kind of get this sense of impending doom as you're reading it, like, historically what's about to happen.
Absolutely. You're kind of on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this earlier, like, their love story, it almost felt like a metaphor.
Oh, interesting.
With this delicate beauty kind of trying to exist and grow in this environment
Yeah.
that's just becoming increasingly dangerous and hostile.
Yeah. I see that. And I think the setting really emphasizes that too.
Oh, absolutely.
The Hotel de Mille Collines, it's this oasis of luxury.
Right, everyone's at the pool having cocktails.
Exactly. Like life is normal. Right.
Right.
But outside the walls of this hotel, the country is literally falling apart.
It's like this weird bubble
Yeah.
that, can't possibly last.
Yeah, it's surreal. And I think that's what makes the Hotel de Mille Collines such a fascinating setting, because it becomes like this microcosm of Rwandan society as a whole.
Yes, and we meet all these different people there, too.
Oh, yeah, a whole cast of characters.
Right. It's not just Bernard and Gentile.
We got hotel staff, local prostitutes, expats.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is converging.
And they all have their own stories.
Exactly. And through their voices, Courtemanche gives us this much more nuanced picture of Rwanda at the time.
Right. It's not just about the genocide itself, but also about the lives and the relationships and the complexities.
Totally. And the translation by Patricia Claxton is just incredible.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Her work is phenomenal.
She manages to capture that lyrical beauty of Courtemanche's French prose.
Yeah.
But she doesn't shy away from the rawness of the story either.
She finds this perfect balance.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So this is not an easy book to read by any means.
No, not at all.
There are parts that are incredibly difficult to get through because Courtemanche doesn't hold back.
Right. He really puts you right there in the middle of the horror.
Yeah. And you're forced to confront these really uncomfortable truths.
About human nature.
Yeah. About our capacity for violence and cruelty.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this book so powerful.
It stays with you.
It stays with you. It challenges you to really think about your own role in the world and how we can prevent this from happening again.
And you brought up this idea of responsibility.
Yeah.
I kept thinking about that as I was reading, like, what responsibility does a writer have when they're dealing with a subject this sensitive, this horrific?
Yeah, it's a huge responsibility, and I think Courtemanche handles it with incredible care.
Yeah.
By bearing witness to these atrocities, by giving voice to the victims.
Yes.
He forces us to acknowledge the human cost of indifference and complicity.
Right. This isn't just a story about Rwanda.
Right.
This is a story about humanity.
Absolutely. And it's a call to action for all of us to examine our own biases, to fight against prejudice and discrimination.
Actually do something.
To do something to make a difference.
So where do we go from here?
That's the question, isn't it?
I mean, this book leaves you with this heavy feeling.
Yeah, a sense of responsibility.
Right. Like, okay, I've been confronted with this now.
Yeah.
What do I do?
I think we need to choose empathy.
Yes.
We need to choose understanding.
And action. And I think this book really pushes us to confront the fact that history can repeat itself.
Oh, absolutely.
If we aren't actively working to make the world a better place.
If we're not paying attention, if we're not learning from the past.
So I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for joining me for this deep dive into A Sunday at the Pool in Kigali.
It was my pleasure. A really important conversation to have.
Yeah, and for our listeners, I hope this has inspired you to check out this book.
Yes, please.
If you haven't already, and to really think about the messages
and
the questions that it raises.
Absolutely.
And how we can all work towards a more compassionate and just world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.